Good morning and welcome to the kickoff of our DIY portion of the Spring Vintage and Thrifted Marathon for 2025. Welcome in. I'm excited to be kicking you off bright and early. I hope you enjoy um, the entire day. We will be going up until I believe it's 10:30 tonight. So come on in. I can't wait to see who's here with me, joining me bright and early. And if you're here, let me know. I'd love to see you. Hopefully, everything is working as it should. We will see. I'm going to get it shared over into the Craft on the Clock group. That's where you can watch all of the event. And in the Craft on the Clock group, yesterday we had an amazing market day where you could shop live sales and find vintage and thrifted items, primitive style. Some were handmade, some were I guess what you would say reproductions based on a vintage or primitive idea. Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Lisa. I appreciate you. How are you this morning? Good morning, Miss Debbie. There we are. Now we're starting to roll. It's just a little bit slow, I think, getting connected, but I think we're all good now. Good morning, Miss Stacy from New York, Miss Jessica, Miss Roseanne from Virginia. Welcome in. Um, Let me make sure that we are shared. I'm starting a few minutes early so that I can kind of get things rolling. It's a little slower first thing in the morning. But all of your live videos that you will watch today will be short and quick, short and sweet, 30-minute segments on every hour and every half hour today, all the way up through 10:30 p.m. tonight. So that way you can kind of know when if you have to hop away for a little while, you know you can jump back in on the hour and every half hour to catch the beginning of a new one each throughout the day. Good morning, Miss Lisa. Good morning, Wendy. How are you all today? Um, One more group here. Let's see. Vintage. Where are you? Vintage and thrifted group. It's disappeared. Um, my other device is a little slow this morning too. Are you all slow this morning? Slow to wake up? I hope that you have an amazing day. We've got that taken care of. Let's set that aside. You all are going to help me put together a spring vintage and thrifted centerpiece. So I have my whole table filled with all kinds of things. Your grandson's had you up at 5 a.m. Oh my goodness, Miss Lisa. Well, I tell you, I was woke up by a weather alert on my phone. Um, I had woke up like a couple of seconds before it went off, actually, thank goodness. But we had a nasty line of storms roll through. I guess they started around 5 a.m. And so I think we may have another line coming through, but we had some nasty hail. But everything I think is okay, although it's just broke daylight a little bit ago. We haven't actually been outside to look at things, but it sounded like the sky was falling. When it first came in, we had hail. Good morning, Miss Esmeralda. How are you all? Thank you, Miss Becky. How are you? Good morning, Jack, Jeannie, and Joanne. My words are getting tired. Well, just let me just show you some of the things I have spread out on my table, and then we're going to whip it all together to make a centerpiece. Um, and part of these items I have had as a centerpiece on my table. Um, I guess after Christmas, I kind of redid it a little bit, but I kind of always just mix and match, just grab things that I have around the house, move things around. Am I the only one that does that? Takes things and moves them around. Musical decorations, like. Uh, I hope so too, Miss Stacy. Good morning, Miss Lulu. All right, well, I have a beautiful little spring pitberry garland. This is a white, but it's not just white. If you look closely, there's some touches of some spring green. Do you see that right there? And so it gives you a little bit more of the spring feel. I have had this rolled up in a circle shape for a wreath and had this hanging on something else for a little while, but I'm not using it anymore. So I said, okay, well, it's time to move it, and we might use this in our centerpiece today. Um, Let's see. I also have a little spring bunny that I'm going to be probably using. I have lots of things that we have created in the past. So if you see something that you catches your eye today and you want to know how to make, you can head over to my YouTube video library and all of the video replays for all of these projects, that some of these items that you may see today, you can see how to make them on your own. Good morning and happy Saturday. I'm using one of my vintage kitchen scales. I love using these. I have one right there. I have a green one. Where is my green one? I can't even think where I have my green one at right. Oh, it's on top of my chili cabinet in my kitchen dining room area. This one was on my centerpiece in my kitchen on my dining room table. So we're gonna do this one. Use this one today. I love the black. I'll use lots of blacks and creams. I'm going to be using a little faux grain sack. You've seen me create these before, printing on fabric and turning these into little faux grain sacks. I love that one. Um, that's just a chicken feed. It says poultry grain. So you can print any graphic you want on fabric and turn them into sweet little pillows or grain sacks or whatnot. Okay, here's another one, another vintage inspired piece. Have you all seen these grain scoops? They are amazing and they work so many ways. I'm going to be incorporating one of these into my centerpiece today. And then I have, this is not a true vintage, this is another vintage inspired item. Chicken basket, a little vintage chicken, a wire chicken egg basket. Okay, using that. Of course, I have lots of faux eggs. Faux eggs. I have a lot of real eggs, but I thought I gotta use faux eggs today. I have a coffee grinder. I have what else? Oh, and I don't know if we'll use this one today, or we could possibly use my spring bulbs bag. But if you've not seen me create these are just made out of old, or not old, but gift sacks, gift bags that are meant to look old. And so this one is a flower. I know the text is reading backwards for you. This says Old Country Flower. This one says Spring Bulbs. I like taking printables, putting them on gift bags, and making them look like nice little pieces of home decor. Hey, Miss Tina. Good morning, Miss Bills from North Texas. How are you, friend? Some of these things I'm going to set over to the side as we go. Um, I have, of course, some primitive style, vintage inspired linens and fabrics that I'm going to use. Let me show you what I've pulled out and gathered for our centerpiece today. I have things stacked and layered, so give me just a second. I have some coffee. Oh goodness, it's stuck. Hang on. Come off there. It's really stuck. Okay, I take cheesecloth and soak it in a coffee stain, okay? And then I bake it in the oven to dry. And sometimes when you bake it, you get these wonderful little areas that are charred, and it gives you that really worn and tattered, rugged look. So this has not been grunged through the dirt, but it looks like it's been around for a long time, right? And it smells amazing. So we're going to use that in combination with some of these primitive style linens and fabrics and towels and things. Dish towels are wonderful to use with these little vignettes and centerpieces like I'm going to be showing you this morning. I have another pretty piece I'm fixing to show you in just a second. Let me grab, I have a salt and pepper shaker here too. Now these are not vintage. These are from my own collection. I'm going to set these over because I do not want to knock those over and break them. But I wanted to kind of give you a look and a feel for the color tones that we're going to be using today and all of the yummy textures and fabrics. Now, many of our market day sellers yesterday offered some amazing fabrics and textiles and things available for you to purchase. And if you get just a swatch of fabric, you can do the same thing. You can use those fabric swatches, those cut pieces so a lot of times you'll see quilt cut pieces. You can use those in these same style little vignettes I'm going to show you today. Good morning, Adrian. Put all of those together, and all of the added textures and softness will really bring your centerpieces together. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that this morning. So here, of course, with spring, we're going to have some greenery mixed in. Are you seeing our color palette that we're having going on? Lots of spring greens, creams with a little bit of black and brown. Those are the color tones I'm going with today, and we may even add a little splash of color here in just a little bit. In just a little bit. Good morning, Miss Lisa. Um, Let me think here. Let's see. I have. There we go. Hi, Miss Rose. That you love the colors. I think this is neutral enough that it can carry you throughout into the summer. If you don't want to change it out, a lot of times I'll add some patriotic Americana type things in with this when I get closer to like May. May, usually for Memorial Day, and I carry it all the way out through the end of July and into August. So if I add some patriotic colors, but those are my color themes. Oh, and I may even add a little sprig of lamb's ear, and then of course you all saw me talking about this little vintage bunny, not vintage bunny, but it looks vintage to me. I vintaged him up. I'm going to be using that in combination. Do you see where we're going? All right, so let's get to it. I'm going to lay some of these things over to the side. Where's that third and fourth hand when I need them? Oh, I also forgot to show you. I'm going to be using these little candlesticks as well. These are not vintage, but they're primitive style, which kind of lends itself to that vintage feel. But these are all items that items like these are a lot of times things that you can find like at the marketplace or at Goodwill when people are changing out their decor. You can sometimes find things like this. Really, if you keep an eye out, a lot of times you'll find some. Okay, I'm gonna have things stationed all around. I may even be using one of my little faux um, apple pies. Let's kind of get our station set up here because I have some bigger pieces I haven't even shown you yet. Um, at first, I was thinking about possibly using adobo, okay, that I found on Marketplace. And even if we don't use it today, I still want to show you. I've shown you this before on one of my haul videos. This is a piece that I found on Marketplace. Isn't it gorgeous? Sorry, my husband was walking outside and it caught my eye through the door. I didn't even know he was out there. Freaked me out for a minute. Good morning, Miss Irma. Uh, so I could be repurposing this in some way. Uh, in fact, let's just repurpose this one, redecorate this one real quick, and then if we don't even end up using it, you'll get an idea. I always start with some type of wood base, a bowl, a container, a wood tray, lots of different things. Good morning, Miss Deborah from Pennsylvania. We're heading your way in September. So I'm so excited to meet many of you in Pennsylvania. We're going to be having a road trip meetup and Vintage Soul Sisters. So if you see our Vintage Soul Sisters shirts, a lot of these ladies will be joining us for a meetup in Pennsylvania. Um, all looking forward to vintage and thrifted junking, road tripping, picking, looking for primitive and handmade items. And so keep your eyes and ears open. I usually go live on Wednesdays at noon with updates for our trip. So you all stay tuned for that. Okay, these are faux foam eggs that I grabbed at Hobby Lobby, but they look so real. I think at one time they may or may have just maybe just be the design. They have little holes at the bottom where you, I guess, could stick them on little picks or whatnot. I'm going to gather these in this faux. We're going to put together a real quick centerpiece, show you just how easy it is. Pick your colors that you like to use repetitively. I'm using creams and browns and maybe with a little splash of color of green here and there. But I like to tuck always a little bit of green, especially if we're doing something for spring. And it always livens up your centerpieces. Look at that. How simple was that? Maybe with a little grain scoop on the side that kind of fits in with the chicken feed theme. And then I may also just take a little pinch of some what moss is this? This is not Spanish moss, is it? It says moss. Spanish moss is the gray, what I call messy moss. So I'm just gonna put a little clump of moss over here on the side. And maybe over here on opposite corner, and you're gonna see how quick something like this can come together, just like so. And if you had a little chicken, uh, little plush chicken, you could put that right there. But look how sweet that is. And if you want to add a little candle, I have one of these little jar candle lamps. Now I've had this decorated for Valentine's Day. I've got a little pipberry, a little um, red colored pipberry strand on there. These little jar candle lamps, they have been so popular over on my Pinterest page. People love this project. The video replay is available in my YouTube video library, but you take a simple jar, paint the lid, attach aluminum foil. You know the cardboard tube that those come on, the aluminum foil? I cut those down, make some faux glue drips, paint that, and put a little pigtail lamp light right there. Turn the lamp off. You might be able to see it better. It's kind of making a funny glow. There you go. Um, put one of those little silicone bulbs right there, and you could put this in the center of your piece. And this would give you a little bit of light so that it would kind of illuminate your arrangement. This would be so pretty. In the kitchen, on the counter, tucked in. Oop, did I just? I think I just. Oh, I unplugged it. Gosh. There we go. Oh, there we go. How sweet is that? Super quick and easy. If you already make these items up, they show you how to make this and the jar lamp. Okay. So, this is a little greenery pick from Hobby Lobby. It's one of my favorites. I just buy a few at a time whenever their greenery picks are on sale, and I just pick them up when I'm in and out of there. Just grab a few here and there. But let me take it out and I'll show you. It is so nice to use around the house. This is one pick. Now I have, of course, bent the stem to kind of rearrange it. I've kind of spread it out to kind of get the most bang for your buck. Um, so it takes up more space in your arrangement. But I like to kind of spread it out long and wide there and tuck it in on the side, and it just kind of cradles that little faux feed sack. And there you go. There's a sweet little vintage and thrifted with a primitive flair style piece that you can use on your countertop. Now let's use the same idea and let's make a big centerpiece. The dough bowl, I know, I found that on Marketplace. Don't forget about Marketplace. You all know I'm a Marketplace junkie. I love looking for items and thrifted items on Marketplace. I would consider those thrifted items. I can't remember. I may have got this bowl for like $10, and it's substantial. I mean, it's thick, it's durable, and it has lots of character. It has some little dips and grooves on it. If you see around the rim right there, I can't reach my finger on it. There's a little dip right there, and even on the back. Let me kind of see, turn this around on the back. On the back, it even has a little dipped area right there. So even if you find items that are maybe clearanced or marked down in stores that are similar, don't count them out because a lot of times those little scratches and dents and boo-boos kind of add character to your arrangements. And a lot of times you can hide them very easily. Just like throwing over one of these little towels over the edge, you could hide any kind of imperfection or flaw that you may have, or you could kind of tuck this in the back and never see it. So don't count those discounted items out because you can definitely make some beautiful centerpieces and arrangements using those. You love Marketplace. I do too. Yes, I believe it was either 10 or 15, Stephanie. I'll have to go back and look. But on Marketplace, I have I had found, it's about a month ago, I found a lady who was clearing out all of her primitive style home decor. And I found one of her pieces first on Marketplace. It caught my eye. It was a sweet little frame, had like a primitive star and a little like a little cross stitch type pattern on hand stitch pattern on it, or design on it. And so I looked at it and I thought, that's adorable. I'm going to message her and see what size it is. And when I did that, I looked at her marketplace profile. And when I did that, I found that she had lots of other items on marketplace too, just like this. Look at this. This this is not a true vintage piece, but it's a remake that's made to look like a primitive style wooden dobo. I got that from her as well. She had lots of items, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've hit the jackpot. So I messaged her and I said, hey, I'm interested in lots of your pieces that I see that you have listed for sale. I said, if I tell you what I'm interested in, would you, give me a deal if I buy, kind of basically like a lot or, a lot of your items? And she said, yes, I even have more that I haven't taken pictures of yet. And I was like, oh my goodness, my heart was just pattering. And so we worked out a deal. She kept sending me pictures of all the items that she had. And so and she was only about 30 minutes away from me. That was the best part. So went and met up with her and got lots of items. If you missed, I did a haul video about a month ago. It's available in my video library on my YouTube channel, and you'll see all of the items that I picked up from her. And I think I even forgot to show a few as well. I mean, I hit the jackpot. It's hit the jackpot. All right, so we did that real quick little countertop centerpiece. Let's do a tabletop centerpiece. You got some wooden bowls that that I can't read. Oh, that I can do that with. Okay, I got you. Oh, you found a black bowl at Goodwill. Awesome, Mary. A lot of times you can find some wooden bowls, and even if they're not the color that you want, a lot of times you can repaint them with some chalk paint. Some chalk paint. Um, Yes, you're right. Yes. You just never know what you're going to find and when you're going to find it. So if you kind of jot down a little list, a lot of times on our phone we have like the Notes app. No, on Apple, on iPhones, we have the Notes app. Just jot down some items that you want to be looking for when you go out thrift shopping or yard selling. Yard sale season is coming up. Jot down a list of some of these items. That way, when you're out looking, or if someone else is going yard selling, send them a list. Hey, if you see any of these items, pick them up for me, and you can make a little note on that Notes app, and you can actually forward a note to your friend, to, anybody. You can just text it to them. So if my mom goes out yard selling, I can just text her my note of things that I look for, and she can have it right there looking, when she's out yard selling. So wooden pieces are always things that I love to pick up. Now, this is not a thrifted item, but you all have seen me use this piece in many of my videos in years past. This is just a good, what do you want to call it? Like pantry item. In the kitchen, you have those staples, right? Well, in decorating, you have your staple pieces as well. This is one of my staple pieces that I keep out all year long. Tabletop is what you're waiting for. That's where we're going, Priscilla. This is going to be our tabletop centerpiece. All right. This is just a round wooden tray. I did grab it at Hobby Lobby. Let's see if no, I did take the sticker off of it eventually. It had a sticker on it, but I believe it was in with their spring decor many, many years ago. Probably 7, 8 years ago, probably. Um, and when you see this, it may not speak to you, but if you want to create a centerpiece for your table, how many of you create centerpieces? You spread it all out, and then something comes up and you need your table for like a big project, or, maybe it's game night for family, and you need to clear your table. Well, it's kind of hard to pick up a million pieces, right? That you've carefully placed as a centerpiece on your table. But if you have a tray like this to create your centerpiece from, it's easy to pick it up and move it when you need to and put it back when you're ready to put it back. So that's one of the biggest tips that I can tell you. And it just creates a beautiful home for lots of your primitive style, vintage, and thrifted pieces. If you put them together as a beautiful vignette, it looks more pieced and put together and creates a more finished look for your eye. Um, you've been thrift shopping. Oh, I'm so excited for you all. Okay, so let's start with some of these primitive style fabric and textile pieces that I showed you a minute ago. I like to kind of layer, lots of layers. So let's start building. Our wooden tray is our base. The next layer, I'm going to take some of this coffee stained cheesecloth. There we go. And I'm just going to drape it across the center. And I want some of the extra fabric, some of the tips and pieces to kind of drape over the edge. Don't fuss about this too much, okay? It's just going to add some softness, okay? All right. The next piece that I'm going to add in here. Oh, did y'all catch a glimpse of that vintage piece? I'm going to show you in a minute. We're going to add in this kitchen scale. Now, I'm doing this backwards, so let me think about this for a second. I'm thinking about how it's going to look for you all. Okay. I like to kind of put this on an angle. Um, if you're good decorating, that's one thing, but if you're good decorating backwards, that's another. So we may have to kind of touch and go as we see. I'm going to put this kind of in the center towards the front, just a jiff. There we go. Now, you see that I'm repeating on top of the scale some other little pieces of cheesecloth, okay? Just drape it on there and it adds some softness. And it also helps balance out your colors. If you notice, real quick, no more than what we have on here, we already have some layering, some repeating layers of colors, okay? Not just texture, but also color. So we have hard, soft, hard, soft. Do you see that repeating pattern there? I feel like I'm back to my teaching days. We have an A-B pattern, an A-B repeating pattern. Now, I also have a color pattern of dark, light, dark, light. If you've ever put together an arrangement and you think something just doesn't look quite right, look and see if you've created any kind of repeating patterns, just like I showed you with texture, with color. Those are the two easiest things to establish a pattern with, okay? Now, let's add a couple more vintage pieces here. I have, oh goodness, let me see if I can get this. I need to, hold on. I kind of need to dump out something that's, I want to kind of show you how I put this together. Um, Now, this is, I believe I grabbed this from my friend Chastity at Antique Adoption a few years ago, one of our vintage and thrifted market days. This is a vintage, authentic coffee grinder, and it's absolutely amazing. Now, it's not functional. I mean, it is a little bit loose. There's probably a couple screws that may be missing, but for the most part, it's all intact. Now, look at that. I still even have, let's look at this. This will be fun. Let's see if it tells me what year this was. I believe this was 2 years ago. It says August. And Miss Chastity is from Antique Adoption, and she was one of our market day vendors. It was 2023. I was right. August 2023. She's one of our market day vendors. She's usually always with us during our market day. So the next time we have our summer vintage and thrifted weekend, you can always bet Fridays are our market days where you can shop and find lots of these vintage pieces. And it's all online. So no matter where you're at, you can watch and shop and have things delivered to your door. I'm telling you, it doesn't get any more amazing than that. So I love using this piece as a prop in a lot of my centerpieces and in my kitchen. So I'm going to pair this one right here in my centerpiece. All right. Now we have a beautiful base a vignette going here. So if I just start with this, I can change out everything that's going around it all throughout the year to match the seasons or holidays or whatever. Now, a lot of times in my little coffee grinders, I like to put some some little potpourri or dried naturals in just to kind of give a little bit of added texture. So let me see if I can scoop these up. These are from my friend Esmeralda. She was also in our market day sales yesterday. She's usually always a regular as well. Many of our sellers are regulars because they love it. They love seeing you all, and you all are always show up and show out when we have our vintage and thrifted market days. But she has had some of these. I'm putting it on this towel because it's a little easier to carry and move. Um, I put these little bundle of dried naturals. They come in lots of different colors. You can find some. She might even have some now that she can offer you. You can message her and let her know what you're interested in. I've had some little runaway pieces, but I like putting a little bit of potpourri right there, and it just kind of gives a little bit of added texture on top there too. Okay, now we need to kind of jazz this up for spring. So here's where I'm going with this. Let me look around and see what I have. I'm going to use these little candlesticks, I know. So let's kind of just center these somewhere in here and see what we get. A lot of this at this point is kind of like playing around with it and see where it works with your eyes. I know I need, let's see, I need another dark item right here. I like to kind of finish with dark pieces on top. If I'm working from the bottom up, I like to finish with a dark piece on top. What did I have? Oh, where did that go? Oh, I was like, where did it go? I had things spread out everywhere, and I still have things spread out everywhere. I'm going to use one of these little faux vintage fruit pies as my topper right there. And that kind of finishes out. Do you see the difference? That's like, whoa. And that distracts me from everything else up here. If I left this real bright white, you all are putting in exclamation followage. That's going to tell you how long you were following me. You can also put exclamation mark notify, and that will help turn on your notifications if you're not already getting them from my page on Facebook. It won't work on the replay on YouTube, but that's okay. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, it's best viewed if you're using the YouTube app, okay? Just a note for reference later. If you all convert over to YouTube later and watch videos, use the YouTube app for these vertical type videos, and it's much easier to watch. Okay, I was hearing something, so it kind of distracted me. And do you see the difference there when I put that little pie on there? It just kind of helps that feel finished. And do you see the repeating patterns as we go up? I think this little part right here is finished. So let's go over here. We need to add something else. Do have some little candles that I'm going to put in here, but for sake of moving it around, I'm not going to add them right this minute. I'm wanting to add a little touch of spring, and I do have, let me show you what I have. I have some of these, um, um, those are not coffee grunged. I have some of these little coffee grunged faux tulips that I think would look really cute in a little bundle. I don't think I've copy grunged that one either. It looks a little too bright. All I have done is I have dipped these faux tulips in a jar of coffee grunge to give them that primitive look. Okay. Now, some of my leaves are a little brighter on camera than they are in real life, but you get the look there. Aren't those sweet? And in comparison to what they look like fresh out of the package, these are way brighter. And if you want that look, you definitely can, but I like those darker color tones. And so what I think I'm going to do, and this may or may not look right. At this point, I'm just playing to kind of get the finished look of where I'm going with this here. I may have to kind of tie these together. You know what I can do? Let me think about this for a minute. I don't think that's gonna work. So let's do a plan B here. This was something that I had in this arrangement for fall and winter. I had this little bundle of wheat with a little pitberry candle ring around it in a mug. Let's see. I don't think this cup is deep enough for this. I would need a vase, and I did not bring a vase or like a pitcher or something to the table. I'm thinking. This is the playing part. Sometimes it doesn't always come together as easy as you think it's going to, but that's okay. Don't give up because you'll still get it. You just got to work it a little bit. Let's put these, and I'm going to see what you think about this. Okay, let's see. I like those. That gives me a touch of spring. And do you see how I have those laying on that tray? I have the stems coming straight back. Now the stems are visible back here, and I don't really like that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that cheesecloth that we have draped on that, and we're just going to kind of drape that cheesecloth over those stems, and that's going to kind of mask those stems. And I do like that. You see how we hid them? We hid them, we hid them. And there we have a little touch of spring. Now, I do have a little rabbit I'm wanting to tie in there. So let's see. Hey, Miss Carolyn. You love the tulips. How are you, Miss Debbie? It's good to see you. I do have a little bunny rabbit that I need to tie in here somewhere. I'm going to scoot my scale and my coffee grinder back just a little bit because I have to make room for the little bunny. Now, which side of the tray does the bunny look best on? Let's see here. We're going to have to play with this. I'm thinking I might be able to tuck his little legs under those tulips right there. And you all got to give me a little bit of grace because I'm doing this backwards. And I am laying this white bunny on top of that white cheesecloth, which bothers me a tad bit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little pinch of this moss that we used just a second ago for that other centerpiece or countertop piece. And I'm just going to lay some of this moss on top of that cheesecloth. Just kind of tuck it in there. Let me show you where I've tucked it. You see right there, I just tucked it. It's very subtle. It doesn't pop out at you, but it does help. I feel like I add a little bit of extra texture and layering right in there. Okay, this is one big piece here. Let me carefully. What's that making? Absolute mess. Okay, and I'm gonna put. I feel like we might need a little bit more of this over here, honestly, but for now, let's just make a little bed. Let's make a little bed of moss, and we can put that little sprig of moss over here. Let's make a little bed of moss for our little bunny, and that will kind of help break up the color there. Okay, I'm just kind of picking those tulips up and tucking him up in there under those tulips. Now, I need a little bit more moss because he's not wanting to sit balanced. He's wanting to kind of tilt backwards. And I'm going to take a little bit of that moss even up on that scale, I think. Okay. Now this white tulip, I'm moving this white tulip. Let me show you why. That white tulip next to that white bunny kind of bothers me because it's too close. So I'm going to take the white tulip and I'm just going to kind of move it and spin it this direction a little bit. And these are bendable. I grabbed these tulips on Amazon, by the way. If you want the link for this specific bundle of tulips, you just let me know, and I can send that on my Telegram and Messenger broadcast channels for you. They come in a set of 15. And all I have done is I've dipped them in my jar of coffee grounds and let them dry. And that's all we got right there. That's what gives us that finished look. Now, if you need some more little fillers, tuck in some more greenery, some of this greenery that I showed you earlier, like this little greenery sprig that I love to grab at Hobby Lobby. You could tuck that in on the side. You could use some of your pitberry garlands and tie that around the the side as well. I should have already kind of unwound that, but you get the idea there. Now let's stick these candles in. I'm going to show you the finished look. I think this, I'm not sure this little lamb's ear spray looks just right with that. So let's stick the little candles in there. You could get some battery operated little flicker pieces, candles there, and that will look absolutely darling. But there's